Harvard and MIT are suing ICE and the Department of Homeland Security over new immigration regulations that would negatively impact foreign students who are going to universities in the United States. The rule requires foreign students to either transfer to another college or leave the country entirely if the university they're attending is holding classes online entirely through the pandemic. So the argument here by the Trump administration is, well, if you can take these classes online, there's really no reason for you to be here in the United States. So Harvard and MIT have filed a lawsuit. The suit filed in the US District Court in Boston is seeking a temporary restraining order against the new rule, citing the health and safety risks of the global pandemic and claiming that ICE's decision aims to force universities to open in the fall. So the lawsuit specifically states the ability to provide remote education during the pandemic is of paramount importance to universities across the country. For many students, returning to their home countries to participate in online instruction is impossible, impracticable. Prohibitively expensive and or dangerous. Sorry, I have a hard time pronouncing that word. ICE's decision reflects an effort by the federal government to force universities to reopen in-person classes, which would require housing students in densely packed residential halls, which is a great point. The effect and perhaps even the goal is to create as much chaos for universities and international students as possible. And I agree with the language in the lawsuit. I wanted to get your thoughts on it, John.
Yeah, I see all of these efforts to try to set up situations in grade schools and now also in universities to maximize the spread of coronavirus come fall. But I want to reassure Trump, you don't need to do this, buddy. Everything else socially that the Republicans are pushing is going to ensure that there's going to be a big wave right before the election. You don't need to go above and beyond, activate challenge mode on this. Yeah, no, it's madness. It's one part, again, trying to pretend that we're not still in a pandemic. It's one part taking advantage of the pandemic to push, a longstanding immigration agenda, and also try to get people to focus on international students as some sort of boogeyman. Necessitating more international travel than we're already gonna have is obviously a terrible idea during an international pandemic. It's like every angle on this is disastrous and cruel and needless and chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just goes back to what we were discussing earlier, just this need to make it appear as though everything in the country is normal, there's nothing to worry about, in order to help Trump's chances of getting reelected. And there's the added layer, of course, when it comes to foreigners in the country or immigrants in the country, the right wing despises them, wants them out. And so this is a situation that I think ICE and the Department of Homeland Security and the Trump administration overall can exploit for their own, selfish purposes. And by the way, we Americans have been banned from traveling to European countries because of how poorly our federal government has dealt with coronavirus. So we're seen as like a health risk, across the country, certainly in the European Union. And yeah, I love that you brought up how it's dangerous to really do travel at a time when this pandemic is worse in terms of the numbers today than it was in the very beginning. And I do want to go to this next video because this is Donald Trump and his. He's just trying to scold these universities. Let's take a look.
I see where Harvard announced that they're closing for the season or for the year. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's an easy way out. And I think they ought to be ashamed of themselves. You want to know the truth. But I noticed that today, and probably others are doing that. That's called the easy way out.
Yeah, I can assure you as someone who has some experience teaching online as opposed to in front of a classroom, it's not the easy way out. Shifting everything to online curriculum is incredibly difficult. And I'm pretty sure that university housing would like to be able to have more than 40% of the housing, rented by students. But they're not going to be able to do that. They're only going to allow 40% of the housing to be rented. And so it's just he's just so frustrating. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it.
I mean, one of my closest friends is a university professor, and all throughout this summer term, he's had to take the easy way out, which is rather than give his lecture, he has to record it solo by himself to an empty room, edit it, upload it, and then answer questions for the remainder of the week that come in via email. It's an easy way out. He loves it. Way more work. No, that's madness. And just think about the insult to injury that we have experienced, 2 months of before the pandemic hit America, where Trump refused to take it seriously. A solid month of him doing absolutely nothing as it started to spread across the country. Then months of distracting us with bleach and UV lights and all of that, providing very little aid to the American people, doing literally nothing to set us up in a better position for the second wave than we were for the first. All of that, wasting the time that we had, the resources that we had, and now places like Harvard University are being forced to try to just figure out what they're gonna do with the situation he's given us. And their solutions are unacceptable to Donald Trump, the guy who's had so much to do and hasn't done anything this entire way. He shouldn't, at this point, he shouldn't be commenting on any of this. He has opted out with months of lacking leadership.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.